Hey Raiders, Jacko here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Now, today I'm going to start with the first video of a series of videos I want to do aimed at the beginning players, looking at different aspects of the game and the intricacies within those aspects. There's a lot going on in Raid Shadow Legends, a lot that we miss, definitely as beginning players. Even as more experienced players, we miss bits and pieces, tips and tricks that would have really helped us out if we had known about them at the beginning. So this is going to be a series of hopefully short 15 to 20 minute videos on different aspects of the game. And as such, since this is the first of those, we're going to start with the backbone of Raid Shadow Legends, and I'm going to go over the anatomy of champions. Now, champions come in 5 different rarities. You've got your common champions, which come at 1 star and are gray. So, like Thrall here, he's a common champion, starts at 1 star. Up from there, you've got your uncommon champions. They're green. They start at 2 stars. Up from there, you've got your rares, who are blue and start at 3 stars. You've got your epics, who are purple and start at 4 stars. And you've got your legendaries, who are orange or gold and start at 5 stars. Now, the number of stars a character has defines their max level, 10 levels per star. So Gurptup here, as a legendary, I could level him up to level 50 without having to upgrade his star level. Now, you can upgrade the star levels of every champ in the game, so keep that in mind when you're looking at champs. The next thing to look at, we've got what faction they're from, and this is not overly important until you get to faction wars, and you can look at the index, which we'll go to in a little bit, to find out what faction these players are from. You've got a lock button here that allows you to lock or unlock the champion, and that makes it so that you can't accidentally use them in like a fusion or as a sacrifice to rank up another champion or as food. Things like that. Good for the champions you want to keep around. You've got the reviews that bring up a little thing on how good the champion may or may not be. Don't trust these. Go out and use your own experience. Go out and do your own research on the individual champs. Up in the top right corner here, we've got their rarity and what type of champion. Gurptuck here is a support champion. He is built to help out the other champions. We've got Coffin Smasher here, who's an HP champion, so his skills and everything are derived off of his hit points. That's really nice, and something you should keep an eye on. Same thing for a defense-based champion like Armiger here. His attacks and everything are based off his defense. These are really good defense and HP based champions because you're building their survivability in with their damage at the same time. And that's really valuable. Unlike War Maiden here, who's just an attack champion, so her HP and her defense, even though we want them high for her survivability, aren't going to be adding into her damage at all. So keep an eye out for defense and HP based champions. They can be really good. When it comes to rarity, don't assume that a lower rarity champion is worse than a higher rarity champion. Armiger here is a great example of that ideal. He is better than almost all the rares, better than many epics, better than a couple of the legendaries even. He's definitely better than Gurptuck for my account right now. He can do things that Gurptuck just can't. So that's a really good thing to keep an eye on, is there are lower rarity champs that are going to be very good for you. As a free-to-play player, as a beginning character, really look out for Armiger. He's great. You will use him in endgame, I guarantee it. Next thing we want to look at is skills. Each character comes with several skills. Let's find one that's a little bit... Here we go. With different skills. You start off with their A1. This is their basic attack, the thing they do when all of their other skills are on cooldown. So it's going to be something that happens quite frequently. Sometimes it has an extra effect other than just the attack, which can be very nice. Then they'll have an A2. Everybody I know of has an A2 at least, which is another ability. It's got a certain number of cooldowns. This is the number of turns after you use the ability that you can't use the ability again. Pretty simple. many characters will have an A3 or even beyond. These are just like the A2. They're a skill that can do something for you on a turn, on a cooldown based situation. Finally, or not finally, you also have passive effects. Many champions in the game, especially when you get to epic and legendary, will have these passives. These are things that are always on or occur immediately without the use of a skill. Some of them have active effects like a instant revive on death, things like that. Finally, some characters have an aura, and this is a buff that they give to the rest of the party if they're in the leader position on a team. So for Rector Death here, we've got increased ally resist in Doom Tower by 55%. Up here as well, we've got masteries. These are a customization system that the champions have to increase their stats, what they do, all the things like that. So you've got 3 different trees, essentially offense, defense, and support, and you can have abilities in 2 of them. The third one locking when you do that. So for Rector Drath, I have offense and support. I'll never be able to put anything in defense unless I rebuild her masteries completely. Now, you get scrolls from the Minotaur layers. That's what you use to build masteries. And you can have 2 level 1 masteries, a total of 3 level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5 masteries, so 3 each. 2 on one side, 1 on the other, so on. And then 1 level 6 mastery. Now, the grind for masteries is extreme, but well worth it. We'll get into masteries and Minotaur's Lair in a subsequent video. Finally, we've got our artifacts. So our artifacts are a big part of how you build your character. In fact, it might be considered the biggest part of how you build your character. These are where you're going to boost stats, you're going to get set bonuses, like I've got up here, and things along those lines. Some things to know, just cursory things to know about artifacts, because there's a much more in-depth guide we'll go into later, is that these top 3 have static primary attributes. Static primary attributes. And these are the primary attributes here. These are substats. So weapons will always have attack, helmets will always have HP, and shields will always have defense as their primary stat. So on those 3, you're really looking at the substats and the item set. Your next 3, your gloves, your chest, and your boots, they can come with these percentage-based stats. These are what you want to look for. If you get a chest piece that has flat HP instead of HP percentage, you're probably not going to use it. Additionally, gauntlets. Gauntlets are where you get your crit rate, because the crit rate and crit damage can be your primary stats on gauntlets. So very good. The only exception to the wanting percentage-based stats over flat stats for these 3 middles, the gloves, the chest, and the boots, are on your boots, and that's speed. Boots are the only place you can get speed as a primary stat. So very often you're going to be saving your speed boots, because speed is essentially king in this game. It makes you go faster, which means you'll have more turns against the enemy, which is always a good thing. It essentially helps with cooldowns. Speed is vitally important. Finally, you've got your artifact slots. So these are your ring, your amulet, and your banner. These unlock at certain star and ascended levels of the champion. As you can see on Rector Drath, I do not have her at level 60 or 6 stars, so my banner is locked. I can't put a banner on her. These have all kinds of different primary stats and everything. So they're a bit of a mixed bag. Your banner, when you get there, is a really, really good source of accuracy. Caveat to what I was saying, accuracy and resist can come on your chest piece, and those are static stats to keep around. If you're building a debuffer and you don't have a banner yet, having an accuracy chest piece on them is probably a really good idea. In general, you're going to want to be building your champions for survivability first, and then whatever else they're doing. So for a debuffer, I'm looking at defense and HP first, and then accuracy. So let's take a look at the stats. If you hit this little I button, we can come down and take a look at total stats. Health points is just that. It's how many hit points they have. This chart here gives you what bonuses your artifacts are giving you, what bonuses your Great Hall might be giving you, what bonuses your position in Classic Arena might be giving you, as well as masteries and anything your clan's giving you. So this gets your total over here. So what are the stats? Hit points are how many hit points you have. Attack is an arbitrary number that, depending on the multipliers on a skill that's attack based, will help define how much damage you do. If it's an attack based champion, more attack generally equals more damage. There's a caveat to that we'll come to. Defense, this is how much damage mitigation you have, how much of someone else's hit is going to be reduced because of your defense value. This is a great place to build survivability. An interesting note is that your lowest HP champion is generally, barring affinity matchups, who the enemy is going to target first. So if you're building a tank, building low HP and really high defense can be a really useful thing to do. Speed, that's how fast you're going, very vital. Critical rate, that's the percentage chance that you're going to land a critical hit. You generally want to try and get that to 100% on anybody you expect to be doing damage. Critical damage is how much more damage you're doing when you hit a critical hit versus when you do a normal hit. Pretty self-explanatory there. But this is the caveat. When you're building a damage dealer, building crit rate to 100 and then your crit damage really high can frequently be more effective than building your attack. Always on a damage dealer, get your crit rate as close to 100% as possible. That's going to be your biggest damage increase for a champion. After that, you need to balance out, do I need crit damage or do I need attack? What's going to be most effective for the champion? Next up, we have debuff resistance. It's just resistance on the main screen. This is essentially your chance to resist any debuffs coming in. I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory, but essentially, the higher the number, the more likely you are to resist. Finally, we've got debuff accuracy. This is how likely it is that you're going to land a debuff on an enemy. In terms of accuracy, you are looking for, at least to begin with, you're looking for 10 points of accuracy, 10 points of accuracy, per level of the dungeon you are fighting. So if you're going up against Dragons 13, you want at least 130 accuracy. So those are benchmarks to look for as you go up. We're going to roll back just a second, back to skills. So one of the things to look out for is that every champion of a certain rarity or higher, there we go. No, let's go with Gaelic. Every champion of a certain rarity or higher is going to have one of their skills that is kind of blocked behind a ascended level. So Gaelic here, he's 5-star, but I haven't ascended him at all. His skill actually changes when I get him to 3-star ascended. It's going to add an extra 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit. So that's an important thing to look out for when you're evaluating a champion. Also, in skills, since apparently I breezed over this earlier, we've got books. Books are levels to the skill. These are increased through the use of skill tomes. Again, we'll go into skill tomes when we look at the tavern and ascending and upgrading champions. Suffice it to say, books are rare. Be careful who you put them into, especially as a free-to-play player. But they can do all sorts of things, like increase the damage output you have. They can reduce cooldowns or increase the debuff chance. Books can really make or break a champion sometimes. However, there are some champions, like Doom Priest here. She's one of my 60s, 6-star, all the way up, and I haven't put a single book in her, because what she's there for is her passive, which has no books attached to it. So be careful what you do with your books, who you invest in as a champion, especially with your books. Go and take a look at people's guides, people's thoughts and opinions, and then formulate your own based on your experiences, your needs in the game, and that information you've gathered, and decide whether or not this is a champion you want to invest books in. Doom Priest is not for me. I don't want to invest epic books into her. So the last thing to look at in terms of champions is the index. So the index shows all of the champions there are. of every rarity. However, one of the nice things is that if we come to, let's just grab Inithwe Blood Twin, who's a legendary. What the index is going to show you is their stats at fully 6-star ascended level 60 rank. So this is their maximum natural stats. This is very good for judging where the champion is going to be when you get them all the way up there. So that's what we've got in terms of the anatomy of a champion, things you're looking for. As we go through this series of tutorial videos, pieces will come together. You'll understand why you're building defense over, say, attack, even on an attack-based champion, things along those lines. So, since aesthetics is a big part of this channel, why don't we go ahead and use our Blood Twin here to go ahead and go through a quick aesthetic look. So in terms of armor, he's got very nice greaves and boots, articulated. It's not going to get in his way. Those are beautiful. He's actually got knee protection, which so many of these champions don't, so he's not going to lose that knee in the first swing of the battle. Wonderful. Good upper leg protection and hip protection. I mean, this guy is well defended. In terms of his chest piece, I love the kind of big skull motif he's got going on here with the glowing. It's gorgeous. I mean, and it seems to move really well with his body. We can hope it's protective and it's not just decorational. It looks like it would be protective to me. In terms of his arms, he's got nice Vam braces. He's got half gauntlets, which, since he's using a great weapon, as we've seen many times before, is a bad idea. He should really have full gauntlets here. So that's the one mark so far against him. He's even got elbow protection, and the spikes there off the back of his Vam braces shouldn't get in the way. Upper arm protection under there, very nice. He's even got pauldrons that are nicely fitted to his shoulder here. You can see the little pieces underneath there that are really protective. And the big pieces that are out there in decorational, they're far enough down that they shouldn't run into him. They shouldn't get caught on any other part of his armor, though they are going to get caught on his weapon occasionally when he moves it close to his body. He'll learn to deal with that. So I'm actually rather impressed with his pauldrons, to be perfectly honest. His helmet looks like the front of a freight train. You've got the cattle guard here, so I assume he runs with the devil cows. Long ago reference. Hell bovine. There you go. Anyways, the spike off the top, that is going to catch so many stray blades that is going to just rock his head back and forth. But maybe he likes feeling like a bell. Otherwise, all in all, armor-wise, aesthetically, and for combat, I'm actually going to have to give Mr. Blood Twin a 5 gourd. That is very functional armor, and the glowing skull aspect of it is just pretty. I love it. In terms of his weapon, you've got a nice great axe here, obviously magical, spraying purple fire everywhere. It even looks like it's got like this dragon head motif with the eye there and some teeth coming down and all. All in all, really nice weapon. It's not too long that it's going to be unusable for him. It's got good mobility essentially, so he can move his hands up and down that shaft really well. The back spike of the blade allows him to hook shields out of the way so that his compatriots can get kills easily. The butt spike here is so-so. It could really use sharpened so that he can use it really up close when battle occurs. But all in all, the aesthetic on his weapon, yes, the weapon, I'm going to go ahead and give Blood Twin a 5 gourd as well. I'm really impressed with his kit so far. I did not think I was going to be. All in all, badassitude. The guy's got a skull coming at you and purple flames on his great axe. He's intimidating. And if you happen to be a hell bovine, that cattle guard is going to scare you. Anyways, all in all, badassitude. I would be pretty afraid of this guy. He's not absolutely terrifying, especially since the visibility out of that helm is really low. So I'm going to give Blood Twin a 4 gourd on Badass Dude. All in all, I'm going to give this guy our first 5 gourd overall aesthetic. I'm really impressed with Blood Twin here. He mixes that scary, spiky, evil kind of look with actually effective armor. So, there you have it. That is the first video in our tutorial of different aspects of the game. If you have any tips or tricks that you have learned that you want to share with everybody else, please comment down below. If you think Blood Twin's armor is ridiculous and you want to tell me I'm wrong, please comment down below. And if you enjoyed the comment, as always, please like, subscribe, and toll that bell. I hope you enjoyed another Jacko's Raider Rants. Have a great day.